Okay, so we got to get on to our guest because it's getting late here, and we don't want to waste her time. Ana Vega is joining us right now. She's a parenting expert, coach, and consultant, and the former, get this, former vice president of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. How about that? She's a parenting coach specializing in helping families by transforming parents and their parenting style. So we want to know about that. Before she was a parenting coach, she was an international journalist interviewing inspiring individuals like Steve Jobs and winemaker Robert Mondavi. And she also is an entrepreneur selling baby products worldwide. The product, her brand was Mama Do Kids. She's fluent in English, Spanish, French, and Italian. How about that? And she's very familiar with the whole idea of family stress, because of her upbringing. She had a mom with schizophrenia and two different stepmoms, and she can talk to you about all of that. But she has now turned her focus to helping parents with a parenting method called Happy Families, because she believes that parents are doing the hardest job on the planet, raising human beings. Amen to that, with no prior training. Where is that class in high school that we're not getting, and not enough support? So we love that her work is based on Yale University's behavior approach, mindful parenting. We're going to talk with her about that. So let's welcome to the show Ana Vega. Ana, welcome.
Hello.
So glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So talk to us a little bit about stress, because this is something I think we're all poignantly familiar with. But as a parent and as a parenting coach, this has got to be one of the main things that you're dealing with. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, one of the main reasons we suffer as parents is because parenting is very stressful. People don't realize that, really. Society doesn't really acknowledge that as much as it should. So, yeah, there are, at least three sources of parenting stress. So one is a difference in our modern family environment compared to the environment in which we evolved as a species. For like 2 million years, people lived in little groups, like 150 people. And parents had an average of 15 people to help them.
Hmm.
Imagine having a group of 15 people to help you.
Yes, please.
Because it takes a lot of effort and food and time and emotional support to raise a child. So thinking that a mother alone being at home with the child is normal, that's crazy. It's not normal. And when mothers go, stressed out and yell and anxiety and they cry, and that's normal because we're not supposed to be alone. We're supposed to have 15 people helping. Our
Hmm.
species was evolved for that. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons.
I love
Then
that, because I just wanted to throw in here that Temple Grandin's mom, Eustacia Cutler, when I've asked her before, like, what do you think was the secret to all the success that you had with Dr. Temple Grandin? And she said, you have to understand, Temple was born in the post World War II era, where when you lived in a neighborhood, it was a tribe. And she said, and the other mothers helped me to parent her. And they said to their kids, you have to play with her. And they helped out and they carpooled and they did all these things. And she said, I don't see parents having that support anymore. It's kind of sad. But I think you're right on the
exactly,
money here. But
yeah,
but part of that is all part of this modern world that we're dealing with. And I feel so bad for parents of young kids right now, having just gone through the pandemic. I feel like a lot of people are struggling with, we're still a little bit in the pandemic world, but we're trying to be in the real world, and there's new technology, and it all feels like this to me.
yes, yeah. We were already struggling, and the pandemic made it like threw us to the extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, to our parents. So also another reason is our how we learned to regulate our emotions from
Mm.
our parents too. So the kind of attention we received from our parents It's like a language that you learn. You learn English or you learn French, but also you learn how to deal with your own emotions. And then you were either raised in an insecure attachment environment or secure attachment environment, and you learn that. And then when parents are aware if they were raised in the insecure attachment environment, then they are more able to emotionally be there for the children, because what we communicate non-verbally on an emotional level is much more important than anything we do or say. Children, babies especially, are so attuned to our emotions. So
So
it's
how would we, Anna, what would be some telltale signs that we were raised in an insecure environment?
when we don't feel comfortable with a child's emotions, we feel
Mm.
overwhelmed. And when we feel overwhelmed by our own emotions, we don't feel safe with our emotions, we don't feel safe with other people's emotions.
Okay. And so what you're saying is we can recognize that, and then you, through the work that you do, can help someone to overcome that so
Yeah,
that they
you
can feel
basically
comfortable.
reparent yourself. The way you talk to yourself, the way you judge yourself. We are so judgmental of ourselves all the time. And so with mindful parenting, you learn to develop this infinite self-kindness and self-compassion. And when you do that with yourself, then automatically, naturally, you can do that with others.
So can I throw an example at you? Because so we have a lot of parents that will write in and we'll talk about being someplace in public and the child having a meltdown. And one of the things that I'm always saying is the emotions that that brings up in the parent. Whoo, we could write a whole book on that.
Mhm.
Because you're supposed to be accomplishing something. Your child is having a meltdown. You feel judged as a parent. You're judging yourself as a parent. You need to finish the interaction with your child, but you're totally in your head. And it all feels like you'd like to just walk out of whatever the place is and never come back. So what kinds of things could somebody be saying to themselves in that moment to help them to get through it?
Okay, yeah. Were you talking about being judged by others? That's huge because, as I was saying before, we lived in tribes of like 150 people. If people didn't like you, they would ostracize you, kick you out of the tribe, and you would die within like a few months or a year. So it was life or death. So being judged by others feels like life or death. We're gonna be kicked out of our tribe, out of our tribe, and we're gonna die. That's how it feels. So you have to be aware, like, okay, I'm very scared right now, but this is not life or death. I'm not gonna be kicked out of any tribe. I'm not gonna die
Interesting.
because
Because I do think it feels
mhm. It's a human instinct to be liked by others and accepted by others.
talk to ourselves. Oh, my internet went wonky. Sorry.
Yeah, you were
Hopefully you
frozen.
got me back. Yeah, my internet went wonky. Sorry. But I think we do, it does feel life and death, but you're saying that we can acknowledge that and then talk to ourselves about the fact that that isn't entirely accurate.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
our brains, our like limbic part of the brain, or like our prehistoric brain thinks, oh my God, this is very dangerous. They're gonna kick me out of my tribe. I'm gonna die.
Wow.
That's how it works. So it's like, okay, I'm aware of that. This is not, thank you, brain, for trying to protect me, but this is not gonna happen. I'm fine. People are just gonna look at me weird, but that's it. I'm gonna feel uncomfortable, and that's fine. I'm gonna accept these body sensations that are kind of, very intense, but they're not dangerous. My body, the sensations in my body are not dangerous at all. And you have to allow them, and then when you allow them, they just disappear. The problem is when we are, oh my God, I'm so stressed out, I shouldn't feel stressed out, I don't want to feel stressed out, I don't want to feel this fear, I don't want to feel this anxiety. It stays with you, but you say, I allow this sensation, and it just goes.
Amazing.
It
Amazing.
is
And
amazing. Yeah.
well, and part of the reason why we're talking about this is because there's been a great deal of research lately on mindfulness with parenting, and in particular mindfulness and the effect on parenting of individuals who have special needs, kids, even kids who are on the autism spectrum. And I think a lot of the field is starting to move towards this, because I was at a conference a couple of years ago and they were showing us all this research that had been done, but some of the most recent research showed that when parents learned these techniques, not only did the parents feel better, but the kids made more progress because the parents were able to do the intervention with much more finesse, because we weren't stuck in this like negative thinking that took us out of the present. So pretty amazing. But you talk about priorities, and I love this, Anna, because I believe that having your priorities straight is a key thing when it comes to mindfulness. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, with mindful parenting, you learn to listen to your body, and you have to acknowledge, okay, my body's telling me I'm reaching a limit. So I have to take care of myself. So you have to figure out, okay, how do I take care of myself emotionally, physically, with my friends, spiritually, whatever it is. And you have to make a plan and ask for help for people so you can take care of yourself. Um, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're so stressed out, then your reactions are not as kind and you're not as patient. So if you want to be patient and kind to your child, you have to find ways to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
And one way, very important way that they're finding now is harder to self-regulate than to co-regulate. So when we are with other people, that's why we were in tribes and we had these people around us. When we are next to someone that we feel safe with, or a family member or a friend or someone that seems safe, the amygdala in the brain, the activity decreases. So we feel
Mm.
calm, we feel confident, and we feel like everything is good. So not only spending time or being with other parents, but also being able to talk to a therapist. But you can find a friend that you can say, okay, we're gonna every other day or once a week we're gonna talk about what we're dealing with, and that's co-regulation, and that's the best way to actually self-regulate, regulate your emotions and your stress.
Well, in fact, some places are also. I really resonate with when we talk about modeling the behavior for our kids and doing it with our kids, so that we're doing that co-regulation with our kids by modeling it. I last week we had our house that our herself on our she stuck her canine tooth through her muzzle and pinned her mouth shut, and the vet couldn't do anything for like 12 hours. And when I tell you guys, it was like the worst 12 hours, because my dog was confused, in pain. She kept pawing herself trying to fix it, and which was making it worse. And oh my good. And in the beginning I was hysterical. I was like, what has happened to my poor baby? And I quickly realized, because I'd had so much training of this with when we were raising our son, but I realized the only thing that I could do was calm my breath and sit with my dog, who does not understand verbal communication. I had to sit with her, and I had to have my hand on her, and I had to steady my breathing. And it was the only way that I could calm her down. And it really reminded me how much we have to put that oxygen mask on ourselves first. Because if we don't have our stuff together, we can't expect to be able to help our kids. And in this case, it was my dog. But she was able to calm herself once I was breathing calmly. The trick that we were taught to get my son to sleep is, if you start breathing in the way that sleep comes on, that your child will mimic it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would finally go to sleep. So I love what you're saying here, Anna. I think it's so important, this self-regulation and co-regulation, whether it's with friends, which
Mm-hmm.
we love getting together with our tribe, but also you can do that with your parenting.
Mm-hmm.
But for children, let's talk about from the perspective of children, because children have very specific things going on for them, and we
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to understand that, right? What are
Mm-hmm.
their priorities?
Their priorities, I think the main one is to feel safe physically and emotionally. So if a parent is stressed out, they cannot be there present emotionally for the child, and the reactions are not as safe. Doesn't feel they don't feel as safe. Even physically, if a parent is emotionally feels like the parent is dangerous emotionally, it also feels like the same part of the brain, like the parent is physically dangerous. It's the same part of the brain. So you were talking about earlier how hard it is to be present. It's like a muscle. If you practice mindfulness, either with meditation, even if it's 5 minutes a day, or mindful walking or whatever, if you practice mindfulness, that muscle of being able to stay in the present is stronger. Makes total sense, right?
It does.
So if you don't practice any mindfulness at all, it's much harder to be present and come down and help yourself, help your child. So because like I was saying before, the stress level of us as parents nowadays is so much, you
Mm.
know, intense than what it should be. We should really be practicing, all of us, at least 5 minutes of meditation. I'm not saying, 5 minutes a day is better than like an hour once a week. So if it's just 5 minutes a day, and it will make a big, because also when we communicate with each other or we're next to each other, we are shaping each other's brains. By how I talk to you, how I make you feel, I'm shaping your brain right now.
Mhm.
So when you're with your child, the way you feel in that moment emotionally, or the way you communicate with them, how you deal with them, you're shaping their brain.
Yeah.
But we do that with with adults too, all day long. So but we can shape our own brain, like I say, it's like a muscle. So if you meditate or you practice mindfulness in other ways, there are other ways to practice mindfulness, not just sitting in and meditate. The stronger our you know calm brain will be, and then the more that's contagious. It's
Yeah.
it's like an epidemic, it's contagious,
I one of the things we've talked about over the years on the show is that when you get into the car, there's a moment that's so stressful getting into the car to go anywhere, right? And especially, when you have to help your child or your teen to get into a harness and they don't necessarily want to, and they're not entirely understanding where you're going. And one of the things that we've advocated, because we've seen a lot of parents that were so rushed and harried to get in the car that then they pull out the driveway and get into an accident. And so we started advocating years ago that whenever we just get into the habit of whenever we get into the car, you get everybody safely strapped in, and then there's a minimum of 3 deep breaths before we turn the car on and back it up. And that I think probably saved my life and my son's life, because there were times when I, you just get so busy. You get so busy doing things that you forget I'm about to drive my most precious thing in a huge, heavy vehicle that could hurt us and other people. How
Mm-hmm.
about I be present while I'm
Yes.
doing that? And 3 breaths, a very small amount of time. And even if your child starts to scream, if they're safe in the back seat and they're in their harness, take the time, take the minute, take the 3 breaths. But I love the idea of finding 5 minutes a day to be mindful, which is meditation or other things. But I imagine when you're coaching families, that part of the magic of this, Anna, is that you help them to find where they can do that and how
Mm-hmm.
they can do that, because I think that
Yes.
that's the tough part, is
Yeah.
figuring out when and where and how, because we can all make excuses and say, I got to do this, I got to do that, my child is screaming, whatever. um
Yeah,
but
but it's very normal to kind of not feel like meditating. It's very normal. Like, oh, I don't feel like it. But then when you do it, like, this is the best thing ever. It's like a shower for your brain, like a warm shower for your brain, it feels good. And then when you do it, like, oh my God, why do I fight sitting here?
yes, isn't that the truth? Talk to on your talking points, you have neutral attention and productive praise. Tell us what you want to say about that.
Okay, yes. For example, we parents, most of the time we focus on what their child is doing wrong. and we point at that. So in order to balance that, because I don't know if you know this, but with children and also adults, one negative interaction weighs as much as five positive interactions.
Mm.
So you have to, make a little effort to give the child neutral attention or positive attention. And neutral attention for the child feels like not positive attention, but it's called neutral attention because you're not praising anything. Let's say your child is drawing, and you say, oh, you just make a comment, like a picture, like, like a commentary. Oh, you look happy drawing that picture, because they feel seen. Because if they get attention when they do something wrong or they do something really great, what happens in the middle is 90% of the time they're doing nothing special or nothing bad. So what happens with 90% of the time? They don't get any attention. They're invisible. So he goes, oh, you look happy in drawing that picture. I noticed that you were having a hard time doing this. Oh, it seems like you really like this ice cream. Just, like, I'm noticing things. I see this about you. So they feel seen, you know? And
Yeah.
then the productive praise is not praising the child. What you praise is the action, the behavior. Let's say you say to your child, can you please pick up the toys from the floor, let's say, and they do it. Well, there are ways to anyway, so they do it, right? They pick up the toys, and then you that is a method, three main basic steps. First is exclamation, like wow, or oh my goodness, with enthusiasm. And then you say what they did. You picked up the toys like I asked you. And then the third is a loving touch, a pat on the back, whatever it is, or a hug, or because that's releases oxytocin in the brain, so it feels good. So every time your child is doing something, that you ask them, like, pick up the toys, and you do that every time they do it, even if you just pick up one toy and you do that, you lock in the behavior, you lock in the habit, and it's based on science. So that's how you can do that. Like because when you do that, the child feels like successful.
I love that. So go
Good.
through the three again. So the
Okay.
first is,
Well, I call it PAL. PAL, PAL, because it's exclamation point. Oh my God. Ooh, yeah. Oh, awesome. And then A is the action. You describe the action. You picked up the toys, or put your shoes on. And then the loving touch, which is
okay.
loving touch, the PALL, the loving.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so it's like, oh my God, you did this, and then you touch them.
Love it. Love it. Because, we want to make sure, as you said, we're locking in that behavior that, and I love that you said they get seen, that they're and we make sure that they're getting seen for something that we want to see more of, as
Yes.
opposed to,
Yeah. And
oh,
because children feel, because they get so much negative attention, they feel like a failure, a lot. So you praising the action feels good. And then also when they make like a mistake, they feel like a failure. So one thing that works really, really well, even with adults, is saying, you know, next time, can you do it this way? So they feel like there's hope of success in the future,
love
you
it.
know?
I love that because a lot of our kiddos, when they get in the teen years, they become very fixated on, I didn't do it right, and they can't move on to the next thing. And so, making sure that we language and say, well, next time we'll do this as early as possible, as young as possible. Maybe we can head some of that off at the past. So,
Mhm.
Anna, talk to us a little bit about when you're working with parents and what you do. And if a parent is watching this and they go, oh, well, clearly I need Anna in my life, how they would connect with you.
How they can connect with me?
Yeah, like how could they hire you to be their coach?
Okay, well, they can email me at, to my website, for example.
Yes.
My email address is Ana with one N at anavegacoach.com. We can set up an appointment to talk about, we're a good fit, and then we go from there. The program normally lasts 12 weeks.
Okay.
And I do a combination of, the mindful parenting and everyday parenting from Yale, and a little bit of psychosomatic, method, about, how. which is mindfulness. Mindfulness, psychosomatic therapy is basically the same, which is listening to your body. Yes, and very fast, in 3 weeks, people see amazing results in themselves and their children.
And is this something that you need, that they need to be face to face with you, or do you take these appointments on Zoom or something like that?
Yeah,
Can they do
yeah.
it long distance?
Normally it's on Zoom unless someone lives, close to me.
Okay. So really anybody in the world could reach out to you,
Mhm.
anavegacoach.com, and find out more about this coaching technique to be able to help them. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that you are able to take a wide variety of clients, but you are very adept and experienced working with parents of children on the autism spectrum, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
And because that's really important. I know a lot of times somebody says, oh, I'd like to get help, and they go, and I remember the first time that my husband and I decided, oh, this is hard on a marriage, maybe we should go and get some counseling. We're having a tough time with this, and we sat at the first meeting with this counselor and outlined what we were going through, and she said, oh, I see what the problem is. You guys are going through a bunch of interventions for your son who's on the autism spectrum, and it's taking your time and attention away from other things. You should just stop all of that. And my husband and I just got up and said thank you and left, because we said she doesn't get it, that yes, those are our stressors, but our stressors because that's what's important to us. And we want
Hmm.
help figuring out how we get everything else in there. But she didn't
Hmm.
get it. And I got turned off, and my husband got turned off of therapy then. But so that's why we want to make sure that people, this is an arena that you're very comfortable with, the things that you're teaching. There's good research that this is good for parents that are that have kiddos on the spectrum, correct?
Yes, because the mindful parenting method that I used was designed by two psychologists in the Netherlands for children with, in the autism spectrum, with schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and it is 100% successful because parents, all of them, change their parenting and how they change their lifestyle. How they deal with life in general.
And if you can change some of these small things, then you can get back to the enjoyment of your child and the
Yes.
enjoyment of the role of being a parent, instead of feeling like it's a burden and that you're
Mhm.
failing and that
Mhm.
you're not doing it right, because that's not how we're meant to feel. Am I right?
Mhm. Correct. Yes, that's part of the mindfulness, which is non-judgmental. So you stop judging yourself, you start judging your child, you stop judging the world, basically, which
Yeah.
is, and then you are aware of all the simple moments. Let's say, in mindfulness, for example, when you're washing the dishes, you don't wash them so that they're clean. You wash them to enjoy the foam, the water, the sensations in your hands. So, there's a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh, which is a Buddhist leader. They call it, a spiritual leader of the 21st century. He just passed away. He has a poem that says something like, I don't understand why washing the dishes or mowing the lawn is not as important as writing a poem.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everything is poetic. If you really, really think about it, everything is beautiful and poetic, but we don't grow up thinking this way. We grow up, oh, we're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy ourselves when we're in Disneyland or when we're eating this food or when. Instead of like every moment can be so, you know, um, vibrant and full of life and beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're out of time, but again, if you're interested in more of this kind of work, Anna is available. There are also many books available on this subject. But reach out to Anna. Ana Vega. It's Anna with one N. It's on the screen right now for those of you who are watching the video. But if you're listening to the podcast, it's Anna with one N, Ana Vega, Vea coach. COACH.com. And you can reach out to Ana and find out more about this. I need to do it again. Okay. Ana, AnaVegaCoach.com. I probably got less mindful in the middle and put in an extra word. Because I do that. I have the attention span of cottage cheese. So anyway, AnaVegaCoach.com. Oh, the internet messed me up. Okay, AnaVega.com, AnaVegaCoach.com. Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm going to do it 3 more times. AnaVegaCoach.com. Anna with
I love
one
it.
N, Vega, VEGA, coach.com. And it'll be in the description as well. Ana, thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for being here with us.
You're so welcome. It was great to be here. Thank you.
You take care. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.